Hey guys, welcome back to Reignited and welcome back to our C10 Hemi Swap Identity Crisis. Now, as you can see from the title and the thumbnail, we're working on exhaust this time around, and exhaust is by far one of my favorite things to do on a build. Something about working with tubing, I just really enjoy it. And what I like about it is that you have a general idea when you're going in of how you want to route everything, but due to space constraints, you just kind of have to let the thing flow organically. So as you're building it, it tells you where it wants to be. And I think that's kind of fun. There's a little bit more creativity there than just like imposing your will on it. So I don't know, weird thing, but it's something I like about it. Now, as you can see our components here, it is all 3-inch stainless exhaust. I'm probably going to be doing an X pipe in there or an H pipe, depending upon the type of room that I do or do not have. You can see I've got these 3-inch Flowmaster stainless mufflers. I have some exhaust hangers here. I have a couple of V-bands. I've got a O2 sensor bung for the wideband, some straight sections, 180-degree bends, 90-degree bends, and 45s. So between all of these components, I should be doing pretty well. I do have the flex pipes here as well because you always want to put a little bit of flex into your exhaust so it has some room for some movement. So flex pipes are going in. Also, you'll notice here that I do have a set of catalytic converters. Now, I know you're thinking, why in the world are you putting cats on this thing? It's an 80s truck. You're not falling under any sort of emissions laws. Why would you do that? Well, for me, when you're behind a vehicle that's straight piped and you literally can't breathe and your eyes are watering because all the fuel smell that's coming out the back of this thing, that's a bit annoying. And so what I want to do is I want to try running a set of catalytic converters on there. Today, Junior! Just to see what it's like. I would like to be able to fire it up inside my shop and not have every door in the place open so that I don't die. So we're going to give that a shot. But as far as the actual catalytic converters we're going to use, I just got these ones off of eBay. They're a universal high flow cat. I don't really know if they are or not, but they were pretty cheap, so I kind of doubt it. However, I decided to go a different option. I picked up a set of SRT Hellcat mid pipes, and what I'm going to do is, those are a 3-inch inlet and outlet as well. I'm going to cut those cats out and use those in my exhaust. Now, if they're good enough for 707 horsepower, I'm pretty sure my little truck here is not going to tax those things at all. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start putting a whole exhaust together. Hope you guys follow along with me. This is what we're starting with here. This is the driver's side and then the passenger side. So they both come down. It's a little bit of a bend there. The only issue is that you can see I have a lot more room here on the passenger side because the transmission mount comes down quite a bit on this side. It's a little bit tighter here on the passenger side, but I don't think it's gonna be too bad. Then we're gonna roll on back here to an X pipe or H pipe of some kind, and then it's gonna go up. And I'll probably have mufflers hanging here and here. Then it's gonna go up and over the axle. And then on the back side here, I think I'm just gonna do a set of turn downs here on either side. And I think that's gonna work out really well. But that's the idea behind it. But like I said, you gotta get into it and then it starts to tell you what it needs to actually be finished. Let's get into it. All right, I'm still not claiming to be the world's best welder or anything, but however, I think that's pretty good. Not bad. I mean, you know, always some room for improvement, but honestly, I think it looks pretty good.
All right, let that be a lesson to you about bragging about your welding, because you're pretty much guaranteed at that point that your next welds are going to be absolute garbage. But here you can see the whole front portion of the exhaust is all put together. I've got the V-band clamps on the top side here. You'll notice that they're not exactly symmetrical side to side because the headers themselves are not symmetrical side to side. Now, I do have 4 O2 sensor bungs. 3 of those I capped off because I'm only going to be using 1 for the wideband O2. Now the pie cuts there, I really wish I'd have taken a little bit more time to get my fit up better on those. It was a bit of a tight spot. I was rushing a little bit. Shouldn't have done that. Should have taken a bit better, a little bit more time to actually get those perfect, but that's okay. Now here's one of the big things about this exhaust that's a bummer. You have to remove the transmission crossmember to get that front portion out. The catalytic converters are big enough to where you cannot actually pull it straight back out of there. Really unfortunate. I really wish that I would have been able to get that out without removing the trans crossmember, just to make it a little bit easier for serviceability. However, it's not the end of the world and we'll make it work.
Definitely starting to make some progress here. You can see we go back to our X pipe, goes back to our mufflers, which then kick up and over the rear axle. Now, as far as the rear dump goes, I haven't quite figured out exactly what I want to do yet. Obviously, it's going to kick back down here and go flat along the bottom, but as far as the ends go, I haven't really decided what kind of tip I want to put on there yet, but we're gonna go ahead and finish that out. I went ahead and put a couple of hangers right there, one on each side. I utilized some factory holes in the actual cross member itself, so that was really nice and easy. But everything tucks up there pretty well. You can see on the X pipe here, I had to kick them up just a little bit to get them to come up above the body line there. I don't want anything hanging down. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine to have exhaust that hangs down below the vehicle. So fortunately, there's enough room here where that's not an issue. And overall, I'm actually really happy with how the exhaust is coming out because it's very subtle in there. It's not like in your face, oh, I got dual exhaust on this thing. So I don't know, really happy with it so far. Let me know what you guys think. Sometimes when you're fabricating by yourself, you've got to get a little bit ingenuitive with how to hold everything in place while you're trying to tack it, especially when it comes to stainless because it's non-magnetic. But basically, I've got a pole jack here holding the rear of it, and then the back of it here, I've got some zip ties to hold it at about the approximate location where I wanted it. So I was able to tack it in place. As you can see, I just went with a straight section with a little 45-degree turn down. I think that's gonna be good enough. I think, you know, I couldn't come up with anything more clever at the moment. It wasn't gonna take too much time. But I really think that's going to look nice on the truck itself. So one side tacked into place, let's get the other side tacked in, and then we can remove the whole system and weld it out. Got the whole system down on the ground. I welded out most of it so far. Pay no attention to those turbos right there. Welded out most of it so far, but I just wanted you guys to see kind of what she looks like here all on the ground. I think it turned out pretty cool. I mean, you know, the front's a little different with that kind of wonky inlet outlet there, but goes back through the X pipe. We got the mufflers up over the exhaust and then it turned down there. So you can see I went ahead and put the exhaust hanger there, and I think I'm probably gonna put like one more exhaust hanger up towards the front here. Day 4 working on the exhaust, but it is all done. I got all of the welds finished out on this thing. Pretty darn happy with the whole thing. So full stainless all the way back, 3 inches with the X pipe. At the very back here, I decided to kind of blend the welds just a little bit just to make for a nice finish on these things. But Scotch-Brited the whole thing. Exhaust is finished. Let me know what you guys think of this thing. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Again, shame that it's not quite so symmetrical up in front, but honestly, I think it looks pretty good from there back. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Well, I think we have an exhaust. Went ahead and installed this thing for the final time. And I also built some brackets to mount the bumper. I just got one of those like classically styled step bumpers for this thing. So built some brackets for that, mounted that on there. And as you can see, the exhaust dumps just right before the bumper there. So I like it. It's going to be fairly incognito. You know, it's not going to be obnoxious in your face, but I think it'll look pretty good. So up and over the axle there, Flowmaster mufflers, X pipe, catalytic converters, and up to the headers there. So that's how the exhaust came out. Overall, I'm actually really happy with it. I think it looks very good. Dual 3-inch stainless on there. It's a nice look overall. Of course, there's always things I could have done a little bit better. I could have taken a little bit more time with certain things, make sure my fit up was absolutely perfect. That would have allowed for a cleaner weld overall. But honestly, it's not really that bad. I think it actually looks pretty decent, especially for the time constraints. But after 4 days of working on this thing, I am absolutely exhausted. Okay, fine. No more dad jokes, I promise. But happy with the exhaust. It's a one big fab project that I was able to get checked off the list. Now we can move on to the next thing. But that's gonna be for another episode. I wanna thank you guys so much for following along with this series. Thank you for watching, subscribing, commenting, all of that thing. Always appreciate all of it. We'll see you next time on Reignited.